Since the film was shown, I've had now, I think, 4 or 5 students who viewed the film come up to me here in the library and tell me how much they liked it, how they had no idea what it was going to be about, it was kind of a gamble, and how they loved it. They all mentioned that it was intense. One student even mentioned to me that he had tears in his eyes, and I don't know the student's name, nor would I reveal it, but he said to me that it was kind of surprising at the end of the film that he had tears. I think it was a great film to show to a student community at a college. It's just great, and the response is great. And I'd also like to thank all the folks who put together the International Film Fest. I think it's great for this campus because we have such an international student body.
The movie tonight is City of God. It's a movie that actually in 2002 was named among the best movies that year internationally. It's not what you expect. The decorations in here and the attitude of the room is beautiful. This movie is not beautiful. This movie is kind of stark. There are over 2 million estimated poor people living in the slums around Rio de Janeiro. City of God is one of the 600 different slum communities that were built around Rio to kind of keep the poor people away from the rich tourists. This movie's been called the Brazilian Goodfellas. Anybody a Goodfellas fan? How can you not be, right? Great movie. There's one critical difference in Goodfellas. The people carrying the guns are all 40 and 50 years old. In this movie, they're 7 and 8 years old.
The clash of modern and traditional human rights and religion and social change that accompanies this conflict is the topic of this film. And specifically, one of the traditions that's known in the culture of the village alternately as purification or excision is better known in the West as female circumcision, or by some as genital mutilation. Women should not seek education, and thus the radios which are giving them new ideas are seen as an evil influence and a threat. Social change, while necessary, is never easy. I think this is one of the lessons of the film. One wonders how else the village will change from the forces of globalization that have definitely benefited these young children who will no longer have to undergo the ritual of purification. But ultimately, such change allows people to recognize real justice, real human rights. As the character Cires, Cole's husband, says at the end of the film, it takes more than a pair of balls to make a man.
Buenas noches, estudiantes. Hoy van a ver la película La Lengua de las... This is a movie that you're going to see about the story of Spain 1936. It's about the Civil War and based on a story of a little kid, 8 years old, who was going to school for the first time, and he was very scared of his teacher because he thought it was bad. He was going to hit him. But then he realized that this is not true. He's a very good person, and he developed with him a very deep love for insects. That's why the title of this is The Tongue of the Butterfly. Tonight you have Spain all over the world, and when you finish watching the movie you can go ahead and look at that. It's very interesting. And also their food, especially from Spain, which is the most very well known, tortilla.
So this gives you a little bit of idea of kind of what area we're talking about. So when people think Byron, they think of this area, and they don't know anything in Northern Ireland. This incident took place in Derry, Northern Ireland, January 30th, 1972. It was the civil rights protesters who were shot by members of the British. Basically, it was a civil rights march, and it was supposed to be peaceful. The march actually happened in a neighborhood that's known for its violence. It's known for it's a focal point in the city that's a lot of troubles. So I think that kind of added to some of the green represents the Irish Catholics, the orange represents the Protestants, and the white represents unity and peace, and bringing them together. So that's a little, when you watch the film, you may understand that a little bit more.
Soon you're going to see that crimson gold is actually banned in its native country. It's banned in Iran. No one in Iran can go to a movie theater and see it. He shows the absurdity of authority in a kind of a lengthy scene that you'll see in the form of police waiting outside of a party to arrest any young boys or young girls, because it's illegal in Iran for young men and young women to fraternize if they're not married. that includes older men and older women too. If you're not married, you can't be together. You can't dance. You can't have any kind of social interaction. He also shows the disparity in class in Iranian society, from the very wealthy to the very poor. And it's this, along with the other things I mentioned, that make this film somewhat rebellious. I don't think any of the Iranian filmmakers would consider themselves rebels. I think they just consider themselves storytellers who love their country and want to present stories of, humanistic stories with a socio-political edge to them. The ironic thing is that despite the repression on their ability to express themselves, their films are so damn good. Their films demand to be taken seriously. And I think they deserve our attention, our respect, and most importantly, I think they deserve our appreciation.
In terms of the cinematography, pay special attention to things like how the camera is going to move around in different scenes. It's very interesting, some of the overhead shots that they do and how they circle through different environments. So that's very interesting visually. This film was nominated for over 50 major awards throughout Europe and the U.S. It's one of France's most successful films ever. Very popular. It's a comedy, it's lighthearted, so laugh and enjoy. It's different in that regard to a lot of the films you've been seeing over the last week. So I hope you like it. At the end, we'll talk some about the characters and what you think about their experiences and how they interact with one another. And I hope you enjoy it. And I brought some photos from 20 years ago when I spent my summer in France in a study abroad program. So you can see my picture. For example, at the church that you're going to see nice shots of here, Sacré-Cœur, which means Sacred Heart, and it's in the Montmartre area where they live. All right, so that's it.
There's a lesson to be learned in this. In the American version, which most anyone's seen on a Sunday or a Saturday night or on Sci-Fi, it's very non-political. This is not a non-political film. And this movie was shot from the vantage point of what mankind has done to the earth. Why would that be an important thing for people from Japan? Because of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And actually, the director of this film had seen what happened in Hiroshima. He was had been drafted in the army. When he was coming home, he had went through Hiroshima and seen the destruction. And when you see the end of this, after Godzilla goes through Tokyo and destroys it, that's his vision of what Hiroshima looked like. And it's important to think and realize that this movie came out 10 years. It's around 10 years after the end of World War II. So it was very long, and the people of Japan were feeling the effects. The only people in the world who have really felt the effects, the total effects of a nuclear war, or atomic bombs, I should say that. So they knew what it meant to have all these things happening, and have cities destroyed completely.
My feelings about the festival is that I've learned a lot from our society compared to other societies, and I've learned how lucky we are to live in the United States today than to live somewhere else. The one in Africa, how the ladies had to get down on one knee just to say hi to men, and how that one lady was whipped just because she didn't want to cut the other girls, and how in Brazil is another one because how they kill people just for power, for greed. So I think it was just an amazing experience, and I got to try different kinds of food. See.
Well, the film festival was fantastic. We saw some great films. All the food was delicious. Even though I had to read most of the films, it was still quite an enjoyable experience. I recommend it for anyone next time it comes around.